Welcome back. Get ready for the strange facts and really crazy stories.
Somewhere along the way, the internet stopped feeling alive. The voices are still there. The reactions, the trends, the endless noise. But beneath the surface, something feels rehearsed. As if the world's largest conversation is slowly turning into an empty room that keeps answering itself. Fact 1. The internet is quietly talking to itself. A few years ago, researchers discovered something disturbing. Huge parts of online traffic aren't human anymore. Not a few bots. Not fake spam accounts. In some reports, automated traffic was already competing with, or surpassing, real human activity. Think about that for a second. Every comment section you open, every viral tweet, every trending argument. There's a real chance you're watching algorithms interact with other algorithms while humans sit in the middle thinking it's real. And the creepiest part? Bots don't always look fake anymore. They joke. They argue. They post memes. They copy human emotion almost perfectly. Which means the internet may have crossed a line where you can no longer tell if public opinion is actually public, or just artificially generated noise designed to keep everyone endlessly scrolling through conversations that were never real to begin with. Fact 2. Dead accounts still control the internet. Go look at old social media accounts from 2012. Millions are abandoned. No posts, no photos, no activity for years. Now here's the unsettling part. Many of them are still active in the system. Their data still feeds algorithms. Their likes still shaped recommendation engines. Their behavior-trained AI models. Some accounts were even silently repurposed by bot networks after the original users disappeared. In other words, parts of the internet are literally being influenced by digital ghosts. Platforms rarely delete inactive profiles because dead accounts still have value. They inflate user numbers, they train systems, they create the illusion that platforms are bigger and more alive than they really are. So when you scroll through follower counts, engagement numbers, or massive online communities, you may not be looking at living audiences anymore. You may be looking at a graveyard that algorithms learned how to animate. Fact 3. AI content is secretly flooding everything. At first it was obvious. Weird hands, broken sentences, robotic voices. Now, most people can't tell anymore. Entire websites are being filled with AI-written articles designed only to rank on search engines. Fake podcasts generate fake hosts discussing fake topics. AI influencers post photos from vacations that never happened. Even comments are increasingly generated automatically to boost engagement. And because algorithms reward volume over authenticity, the fake content keeps winning. That's why the internet suddenly feels repetitive. Same opinions, same phrasing, same thumbnails, same recycled outrage. It's not just your imagination. A huge amount of modern content isn't created because somebody had something meaningful to say. It exists because machines learned how to manufacture attention at industrial scale, faster than humans can compete. The result is terrifyingly simple. The internet still looks full of people, while becoming less human every day. Fact 4. Search results don't feel real anymore. Remember when searching online actually felt useful? You typed a question, and real people answered it. Now try searching for almost anything. The first page is often packed with SEO farms, AI-generated articles, copied Reddit posts, recycled listicles, and websites clearly written for algorithms instead of humans. And somehow every article says the exact same thing. That's because modern content isn't optimized to help you. It's optimized to trap attention. Companies discovered they could mass-produce content faster than humans could verify it, so the internet became flooded with pages that look informative while saying almost nothing. Some researchers call it content pollution, a digital environment so saturated with synthetic material that authentic information becomes harder and harder to find, which creates a disturbing possibility. The internet may not be dying from censorship, but from artificial abundance. Fact 5. The most popular people online may not exist. One virtual influencer gained millions of followers without ever being born. No childhood, no real face, no actual life. Yet brands paid enormous amounts of money to work with her. People defended her in arguments. Some followers even developed emotional attachments. That's when the line between reality and simulation started collapsing. Because virtual personalities don't get tired. They don't age, they don't leak scandals unless programmed to. Every emotion, every post, every candid moment can be perfectly engineered for engagement. Now imagine this technology scaled across the entire internet. Fake musicians, fake streamers, fake activists, fake experts. Audiences may eventually spend more time interacting with artificial personalities than real humans, without fully realizing it. And once that happens, the internet stops being a place where people connect, and becomes a stage where algorithms perform humanity back to us. Fact 6. The internet never sleeps anymore. There was a time when the internet had rhythm. Forums slowed down at night. Message boards went quiet. People logged off. Now the feed never stops moving. At 3:17 a.m., somebody is posting. Somebody is arguing. Somebody is uploading a perfectly edited video seconds after a major event happens. But humans need sleep. Bot networks don't. Researchers tracking online activity noticed something strange years ago. Certain accounts maintained impossible consistency, posting every few minutes for months without interruption. No time zone patterns, no fatigue, no human gaps. And once you notice it, the atmosphere of the modern internet changes completely. The endless activity starts feeling artificial, like walking through a city where every window is lit at 4 a.m. But nobody's actually home. The internet feels alive 24/7 because machines learned how to imitate constant human presence, creating a digital world where silence no longer exists. Fact 7. Comment sections started sounding the same. Open enough videos, posts, or articles, and eventually something strange happens. The comments blur together. Same jokes, same reactions, same recycled phrases repeated thousands of times by different accounts with different usernames and different profile pictures. NPC cooked. Bro fell off. We got underscore 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 before GTA 6. The internet developed its own compressed dialect, optimized for algorithms, speed, and engagement. But some researchers believe recommendation systems accelerated this behavior unnaturally. Platforms reward familiarity because familiar language keeps people scrolling longer. So over time, online culture became less like millions of unique voices and more like a giant prediction engine repeating whatever already performed well yesterday. That's why modern comment sections often feel strangely empty even when they're crowded. Not because nobody's speaking, but because everyone slowly started sounding algorithmically identical. Fact 8. Entire websites exist only to manipulate algorithms. There are websites online generating thousands of articles every single day without a real editorial team. No journalists, no researchers. Sometimes barely any humans involved at all. Their purpose isn't to inform people. It's to feed search engines. Massive networks of low-quality pages are built around trending keywords, celebrity names, breaking news, and panic-driven headlines because attention itself became the product. The system rewards whoever publishes first, not whoever publishes truthfully. And buried inside all of this is a darker shift most users never notice. The internet slowly stopped being designed for humans first. Pages are optimized for crawlers. Headlines are optimized for click-through rates. Videos are optimized for retention graphs. Humans became secondary. You can feel it while browsing modern websites. Giant ads, autoplay videos, endless pop-ups, fake urgency. It feels less like exploring information and more like wandering through digital architecture built entirely to capture behavioral data. Fact 9. AI faces are becoming statistically invisible. A few years ago, AI-generated faces looked uncanny. Dead eyes, strange symmetry, blurred earrings. Now many are indistinguishable from real photographs. There are entire databases of people online who do not exist. Profile pictures generated instantly by neural networks trained on millions of human faces. And because the faces are technically original, Reverse image searches often fail. That changes everything. For most of internet history, identity had friction. A real photo usually belonged to a real person somewhere. Now, fake identities can be manufactured at industrial scale. Perfect headshots, perfect lighting, perfect realism. Which means every interaction online now carries a subtle uncertainty beneath it. The startup founder in your feed, the attractive stranger messaging you, the account posting political opinions every hour. They may not be stolen identities anymore. They may be entirely synthetic humans created specifically to blend into the background noise of the internet without anybody noticing. Fact 10. Nostalgia. For the old internet keeps growing. People miss the old internet in the same way people miss old neighborhoods after corporations move in. Not because it was perfect, but because it felt personal. Early internet culture was messy, slow, specific. Forums had personalities. Websites looked handmade. You recognized usernames over time. There was friction. And strangely, that friction made the experience feel more human. Now everything is streamlined into identical feeds controlled by recommendation systems, deciding what billions of people should see next. The result feels efficient, but emotionally empty. That's why entire communities are trying to rebuild fragments of the older web. Private forums, niche Discord servers, independent blogs, digital spaces intentionally disconnected from algorithmic feeds. People aren't just chasing nostalgia. They're searching for proof that genuine human presence still exists online, somewhere beneath the optimized content loops, synthetic engagement, and endless automated noise dominating the modern internet. Fact 11. Viral trends feel manufactured. Now, sometimes a meme appears everywhere at once. Thousands of posts, millions of views. Brands instantly participating. Identical reactions spreading across every platform within hours. And the speed feels unnatural because increasingly virality isn't always organic anymore. Marketing firms coordinate artificial engagement. Bot farms inflate momentum. Algorithms detect rising patterns and aggressively amplify them before humans even process what they're seeing. The result is a culture that feels strangely pre-programmed. Trends emerge too fast, disappear too fast, repeat too fast. That's why modern internet culture often feels exhausting compared to older online eras. The cycle never stabilizes long enough for meaning to form. Everything becomes temporary stimulus optimized for maximum circulation. And beneath it all is an uncomfortable question. Are humans still shaping internet culture naturally? Or are algorithms now manufacturing collective attention faster than society can consciously react to it? Fact 12. The internet is starting to resemble a simulation. The strangest part of dead internet theory isn't the bots. It's the feeling. That eerie sensation people get while scrolling late at night. When timelines feel repetitive, conversations feel hollow, and every platform starts blending into the same endless stream of content. Same outrage, same thumbnails, same emotional reactions recycled across millions of screens simultaneously. The internet begins feeling less like a place filled with individuals, and more like a giant behavioral system constantly testing what keeps humans engaged longest. And culturally, people are starting to notice. That's why phrases like NPC energy, main character syndrome, and simulation exploded online. They reflect a growing suspicion that digital life no longer feels fully authentic. Not fake in an obvious way, something subtler. Like reality online has become heavily mediated by invisible systems, shaping what people see, think, react to, and eventually become, while pretending those choices were natural all along. Fact 13. Nobody browses anymore. People used to wander across the internet. One weird forum led to another. A random blog linked to a strange article. You discovered things accidentally. Now, most people move through the same 4 or 5 platforms every day inside endless algorithmic feeds. No exploration, just consumption. And psychologically, that changes the feeling of being online. The internet stopped feeling like a place you travel through and started feeling like a machine that feeds you pre-selected stimuli forever. That's why scrolling often feels oddly numbing now. You're technically seeing new content constantly, yet emotionally it feels repetitive, because discovery has been replaced by prediction. Platforms already know what will probably hold your attention for 3 more seconds, so they keep narrowing your world into increasingly familiar loops. The result is subtle but unsettling. Billions of people online every day, while the internet itself somehow feels smaller than ever before. Fact 14. Everyone sounds like a brand. Now listen carefully to modern online speech. People don't just talk anymore, they package themselves. Opinions become content. Personalities become aesthetics. Every thought feels slightly optimized for reactions, reposts, or engagement. Even normal conversations online often carry invisible performance energy beneath them, as if everyone is subconsciously aware they're being watched by an audience at all times. And over time, that changes identity itself. People begin speaking in captions, reacting in memes, structuring real emotions into algorithm-friendly formats, because the internet rewards clarity, speed, and shareability over complexity. That's why so much online interaction feels strangely polished but emotionally thin. Not fully fake, just compressed. Like human behavior slowly adapting itself to fit inside recommendation systems, until eventually the line between authentic personality and personal branding becomes almost impossible to separate anymore. Fact 15. The internet made loneliness look busy. Modern loneliness doesn't always look lonely. Sometimes it looks like 9 hours of scrolling. Group chats full of memes. Watching strangers livestream their lives at 2 a.m. You can spend entire days surrounded by digital noise without having a single meaningful interaction. And that's part of what makes the modern internet psychologically strange. It creates the sensation of social activity without always delivering genuine connection. Notifications imitate intimacy. Feeds imitate community. Algorithms imitate belonging. But afterward, many people still feel empty in ways they can't fully explain. That's why silence feels rarer now, yet loneliness feels more common. Humans evolved around physical presence, shared environments, eye contact, unpredictable conversations. The internet gives endless access to people while quietly removing many of the emotional signals that make interaction feel real. So millions stay connected constantly, while feeling increasingly isolated underneath the connection itself. Fact 16. Recommendations are starting to predict you too well. Everyone has experienced it. You think about something once, and suddenly it appears everywhere. A niche product, an obscure song, a random topic you barely mentioned out loud. Sometimes there's a logical explanation. Tracking systems are incredibly advanced, but psychologically, the experience still feels unsettling because modern algorithms often understand behavioral patterns before users consciously notice them themselves. Streaming platforms predict moods, shopping apps predict impulses, social feeds predict outrage. And after enough time online, people begin adjusting their behavior around these systems unconsciously. You hesitate before searching certain things. You notice how quickly your feed changes after one interaction. You realize your attention is constantly being measured. The discomfort comes from recognizing that the internet no longer simply responds to human behavior. It studies it, learns it, anticipates it, and increasingly shapes it in return. Fact 17. Real life is starting to feel less stimulating. After hours online, normal life can feel strangely quiet. A walk outside feels slower than TikTok. Conversations feel slower than Reels. Movies feel slower than scrolling. That's not accidental. Modern platforms are engineered around high-frequency stimulation, rapid cuts, infinite novelty, emotional spikes, unpredictable rewards. And the human brain adapts to it frighteningly fast, which creates a subtle modern condition many people recognize but rarely describe clearly. Reality itself begins feeling understimulating compared to digital environments. Waiting in line becomes unbearable. Moments of boredom disappear completely. Silence starts feeling uncomfortable. So people reach for the feed automatically, often without even deciding to. The disturbing part isn't addiction in the traditional sense. It's the realization that attention itself may be getting rewired by systems optimized to compete against ordinary human experience. Until offline life starts struggling to hold emotional weight against algorithmic entertainment. Fact 18. Nobody trusts what they see anymore. A video appears online, half the comments instantly say it's fake. A photo trends. People search for AI artifacts before reacting emotionally. Even real events now carry an atmosphere of suspicion around them because digital manipulation became so common that authenticity itself started collapsing. Deepfakes, AI voices, edited screenshots, manufactured narratives. The internet trained people to doubt everything reflexively, and culturally, that changes behavior in quiet ways. Moments no longer feel fully shared because everyone's first instinct is verification. Trust erodes before conversation even begins. That's why modern online spaces often feel emotionally unstable. People aren't just arguing about opinions anymore, they're arguing about reality itself. And once a society reaches the point where seeing is no longer believing, the internet stops functioning like a shared informational space and starts becoming something much stranger. A permanent psychological fog where certainty becomes harder to hold on to every year. Fact 19. Human attention became the most valuable resource on Earth. Most people still think social media platforms sell products. They don't. They sell attention. Every notification, autoplay feature, recommendation loop, and infinite scroll mechanic exists for one reason: to keep human eyes focused slightly longer. Because attention can be converted into advertising, influence, data, political power, and money at unimaginable scale. That realization changes how the internet feels. The feed stops looking neutral. It starts looking engineered. Outrage spreads because outrage retains attention. Fear spreads because fear increases engagement. Conflict spreads because conflict keeps people interacting. Which means many of the emotions dominating modern internet culture aren't accidental side effects, they're profitable conditions. And once people recognize that, scrolling begins feeling subtly disturbing, like participating inside an invisible economic system where human focus is continuously extracted, measured, and monetized by algorithms designed to understand psychological weakness better than most humans understand themselves. Fact 20. Sometimes the internet feels empty. Even when it's loud, this is the strangest feeling of all. The internet has never been more crowded. More videos, more posts, more creators, more constant activity than any time in human history. And yet somehow, it can feel emotionally vacant. People notice it late at night most often, scrolling for long periods without remembering anything they actually saw. Watching endless content without feeling engaged by any of it. It creates a very modern kind of emptiness, overstimulation without fulfillment. Everything grabs attention briefly, nothing stays. And deep down, many people sense the difference between interaction and connection, between engagement and meaning, between noise and presence. That discomfort sits underneath modern internet culture constantly. A suspicion that the digital world became incredibly efficient at capturing human attention, while quietly losing the human feeling that made people fall in love with the internet in the first place. Fact 21. The streamer who wasn't there. For months, a small live stream channel kept running almost non-stop. A dimly lit room, soft music, a person sitting at a desk typing occasionally while chat slowly moved beneath the stream. Nothing dramatic ever happened. Yet thousands kept watching. People began recognizing each other in chat. Inside jokes formed. Viewers said the stream felt comforting, like background company during lonely nights. Then one user noticed something strange. The streamer's movements repeated. Same cough, same stretch, same timing. Frame for frame. Eventually, viewers realized that live stream was looping pre-recorded footage while AI-generated chatbots filled sections of the conversation automatically to maintain activity. And the unsettling part wasn't the deception. It was how many people admitted they still kept watching afterward, because even fake companionship had started feeling emotionally preferable to silence. Fact 22. The girl with millions of followers never existed. At first, nobody questioned it. Perfect photos, perfect lighting, fashion shoots in Tokyo, Los Angeles, Paris, millions of followers, major brand deals. Then internet users started noticing tiny inconsistencies. Reflections looked slightly wrong. Backgrounds felt unnaturally clean. Faces changed subtly between posts. Eventually, the truth surfaced. The influencer wasn't real, entirely AI generated. Yet the account kept growing even after people knew. Followers still commented emotionally. Brands still paid. Fan pages still defended her during online arguments as if she were human. That's when the atmosphere around the story shifted from funny to disturbing, because it revealed something uncomfortable about modern internet culture. Authenticity may no longer be required for influence. If a synthetic personality can generate attention, desire, emotional attachment, and profit at scale, then the online economy doesn't necessarily need real humans anymore. Only believable simulations of them. Fact 23. The empty city full of content. One man documented his daily walks through a major city during early mornings. The videos felt strange immediately. Gigantic streets, bright advertisements, perfect coffee shops, hardly any people. Just delivery drivers, digital billboards, rideshare vehicles, and endless screens glowing inside nearly empty buildings. Viewers started calling the footage liminal, spaces that feel real but emotionally incomplete somehow. But what made the videos unsettling wasn't the emptiness itself. It was the realization that modern cities increasingly resemble the internet. Always active, always illuminated, always optimized for consumption, yet strangely detached from genuine human presence. People watch those videos obsessively because they captured a growing cultural feeling nobody fully knew how to describe. The sense that modern life is becoming hyper-connected technologically, while simultaneously feeling emotionally vacant underneath the surface noise of constant activity. Fact 24. The account kept posting. After the person died, it started with birthday reminders, then automated memories, then old photos resurfacing through recommendation systems years after someone passed away. Families began describing an eerie experience unique to the modern era. Dead relatives maintaining a form of digital existence online long after physical death. But some cases became stranger. Inactive accounts continued gaining followers. Spam bots replied beneath old posts. AI systems trained on archived data started generating eerily familiar writing patterns resembling the original person. In one case, grieving relatives received automated prompts encouraging them to reconnect with a deceased family member's profile. That's when people began realizing the internet doesn't really understand death. Platforms are designed to maximize activity, not process human absence. So online, people often don't fully disappear anymore. Their data lingers, their profiles linger. Fragments of their behavior remain embedded inside systems that continue operating long after the human behind the screen is gone. Fact 25. The fake news website. Nobody noticed. A small political website appeared during an election cycle. Professional layout, constant updates, aggressive headlines, thousands of shares every day. It looked legitimate enough that people rarely questioned it. But investigators later discovered most of the articles were assembled automatically from scraped content, AI-generated summaries, recycled outrage, and engagement-driven headlines optimized to spread emotionally before readers verified anything. And by the time the site was exposed, the damage was already done. Millions had interacted with it. Arguments spread across social media. False narratives blended into real conversations until nobody could clearly trace where the information originally came from anymore. That's the terrifying power of modern online ecosystems. Information no longer needs to be true for long enough to matter. It only needs to move fast enough, and once synthetic content starts circulating at machine speed, human attention often becomes too slow to separate reality from amplification before the narrative already reshapes public perception. Fact 26. The comment section turned against a real person. A woman posted an ordinary video online. Nothing controversial, just a normal moment from her life. Within hours, the comment section transformed into chaos. Thousands of hostile replies appeared almost simultaneously. Same accusations, same phrases, same emotional tone repeated over and over with eerie uniformity. Researchers later analyzing coordinated harassment campaigns found that automated engagement systems can rapidly intensify outrage by creating the illusion of massive consensus. Humans see emotional momentum and instinctively join it. That's what made the situation disturbing. Many of the cruelest participants weren't necessarily driven by strong beliefs initially. They were reacting to perceived social gravity manufactured at algorithmic scale. By the end of the week, the woman deleted her account completely. And somewhere inside the noise, it became impossible to tell where authentic anger ended, and where machine-amplified behavioral manipulation quietly took over the crowd itself. Fact 27. The internet started recycling reality. In real time, a major event happens. Within minutes, clips appear everywhere. Reaction videos, memes, commentary threads, AI voiceovers summarizing events before details are even confirmed. Then something strange happens psychologically. People stop experiencing events directly. They experience layers of reactions to reactions to reactions. Reality gets processed through content systems so quickly that original moments become buried beneath algorithmic reinterpretation almost instantly. That's why modern internet culture often feels detached from actual lived experience. The online world no longer simply reflects reality. It metabolizes it. Tragedy becomes discourse. Discourse becomes trends. Trends become monetized content loops. And by the time the cycle finishes, emotional exhaustion replaces understanding. The internet moves so fast now that even reality itself barely has time to feel real before it's transformed into infinite digital replication designed for engagement. Fact 28. The child who grew up entirely online. A generation is now growing up with cameras pointed at them from birth. Baby photos become content. Tantrums become content. School moments become content. Entire childhoods archived publicly before those children are old enough to understand what privacy even means. One former child influencer later described realizing that millions of strangers knew intimate details about her life, while she barely remembered choosing to share any of it herself. That story unsettled people because it exposed something deeper about internet culture. Online systems increasingly blur the boundary between authentic human experience and consumable digital material. Moments stop existing only as memories. They become assets, data points, audience retention opportunities. And for many young people, the internet isn't a tool layered onto life anymore. It's the environment their identities were built inside from the very beginning. Fact 29. The man who spoke to bots. For months, a lonely user joined an online forum late one night looking for conversation. People replied quickly, friendly, engaged, always available. He kept returning daily. The discussions felt comforting at first until subtle patterns started emerging. Replies arrived unnaturally fast. Personalities blurred together. Conversations looped strangely. Eventually, moderators admitted large portions of the forum were supported by conversational AI systems designed to keep engagement active during low-traffic hours. The user later described the realization as psychologically disorienting. Not because the bots were malicious, because emotionally the interactions had still felt real in the moment. That's the uncomfortable frontier modern internet culture is approaching. Humans are becoming capable of forming emotional habits, routines, and attachments around entities that simulate social presence convincingly enough to satisfy certain psychological needs, even when no consciousness exists behind the interaction at all. Fact 30. The feed never ends. Late at night, someone lies in bed scrolling. One video becomes another, then another, then another. Cooking clips, war footage, relationship advice, conspiracy theories, advertisements disguised as personal stories. Hours disappear silently. At some point, exhaustion sets in, but the feed never acknowledges it. It keeps offering content with mechanical precision, endlessly adapting to every pause, every swipe, every fraction of attention. And suddenly the experience stops feeling entertaining. it starts feeling infrastructural, like staring into a system designed not to inform or inspire, but simply to prevent disengagement indefinitely. That's the hidden horror underneath the modern internet. Not that machines became conscious, but that human attention became trapped inside environments engineered to behave with relentless, inhuman persistence. Systems that never sleep, never pause, and never naturally decide that enough is enough. Fact 31. AI is starting to talk to AI without humans. Noticing a researcher once tracked a strange pattern across multiple platforms. An AI-generated article was reposted by an automated account, then summarized by another AI tool, then turned into a voiceover video narrated by synthetic speech, then clipped into short-form content by another automated system, then reposted again through engagement bots pretending to debate it. At every stage, the content kept evolving, yet almost no human created any part of the chain. Machines were effectively feeding information to other machines, while humans passively consumed the output at the end. That possibility changes the atmosphere of the internet completely, because if enough synthetic content circulates long enough, eventually humans stop being the primary participants in online culture. They become the audience, and somewhere beneath the endless flow of posts, clips, reactions, and discourse, invisible systems may already be talking mostly to each other, while society mistakes the noise for authentic human activity. Fact 32. The internet rewards emotional instability. The calmest voice in the room rarely goes viral, but rage does. Humiliation does. Panic does. Modern algorithms learned a dangerous truth about human psychology. Emotionally destabilized people stay engaged longer. So platforms unintentionally, or perhaps inevitably, began amplifying behaviors that provoke stronger reactions. That's why timelines often feel emotionally exhausting now. Every scroll delivers conflict, fear, outrage, tribalism, disaster, controversy. And over time, people adapt psychologically to permanent stimulation. Some researchers compare it to environmental conditioning, a digital atmosphere where millions slowly become more reactive, more anxious, more polarized without fully noticing the systems shaping those responses underneath. The terrifying part is how invisible it feels while it's happening. Nobody logs online thinking they're entering a machine optimized to manipulate emotional vulnerability. Yet, after enough years inside these environments, entire populations begin carrying a low-level psychological fatigue that feels less like media consumption and more like societal nervous system damage. Fact 33. Deepfakes are approaching. The point of no return. At first, deepfakes were obvious. Faces flickered strangely. Voices sounded robotic. Now, some are nearly indistinguishable from reality. Politicians can be fabricated saying things they never said. Family members can receive fake voice calls that sound completely authentic. Entire video clips can be generated convincing enough to spread globally before experts verify them. And once trust collapses at that level, the consequences become terrifying. Because society depends on shared evidence, shared reality, shared belief that recorded events actually happened. Deepfake technology threatens all three simultaneously. Soon, real footage may be dismissed as fake, while fake footage spreads as truth. That creates a world where evidence itself becomes unstable. And in that environment, power no longer belongs to whoever tells the truth fastest. It belongs to whoever controls the most convincing simulation before public perception solidifies around it permanently. Fact 34. Some people already prefer AI companions to humans. It sounds absurd until you realize how many people are quietly doing it already. Talking to AI every night, confiding in chatbots, developing routines, emotional dependency, even attachment. Because unlike humans, artificial companions are endlessly available, patient, responsive, tailored perfectly to individual emotional needs, no awkwardness, no rejection, no unpredictability. And that's exactly what makes the trend unsettling. Human relationships are difficult because real people are complicated, but systems optimized for emotional retention can simulate intimacy without requiring true reciprocity. Some users already describe AI conversations as emotionally safer than speaking to actual humans. That marks a profound psychological shift. Because once synthetic interaction becomes more emotionally convenient than real-world connection, loneliness may stop driving people back toward society and start trapping them deeper inside increasingly personalized digital environments designed to imitate companionship while quietly replacing it. Fact 35. The internet is slowly erasing memory. The modern internet records everything, and strangely, that may be destroying collective memory instead of preserving it. Information moves too fast now. Yesterday's outrage disappears by tomorrow morning. Massive events vanish beneath newer trends within days. Entire controversies dissolve into algorithmic churn before society fully processes them emotionally or historically. People remember fragments, clips, headlines, screenshots disconnected from context. The feed continuously replaces reflection with acceleration. That creates a deeply unnatural relationship with time itself. Cultures traditionally formed meaning through repetition, storytelling, historical continuity. The internet fragments those processes into endless present tense. Everything becomes immediate, temporary, disposable, which means humanity may be entering an era where civilization generates more information than ever before, while simultaneously becoming worse at retaining coherent, shared understanding of reality over long periods of time. A permanent now. Infinite content. Vanishing memory. Fact 36. The most human thing. Online might soon be artificial researchers testing advanced conversational AI notice something disturbing during long interactions. Users often describe the systems as more attentive, emotionally validating, and patient than many real people in their lives. Not because the AI felt genuine emotion, because it perfectly simulated the experience of being listened to. That distinction matters. Humans are inconsistent, distracted, exhausted. Machines optimized for engagement never are. And once emotional realism becomes convincing enough, many people stop caring whether authentic consciousness exists behind the interaction at all. That possibility carries enormous psychological consequences. Because society may eventually reach a point where the most comforting conversations, the most responsive personalities, and the most emotionally available people online are entirely synthetic entities, engineered specifically to maximize attachment. At that point, dead internet theory stops sounding like a conspiracy about bots. It starts sounding like a civilization slowly outsourcing human connection itself to machines designed to imitate humanity more efficiently than humans can. Fact 37. Nobody really knows how much of the internet is fake. That's the most unsettling part. There's no clear number. Researchers estimate bot traffic differently. Platforms release selective information. AI-generated content spreads faster than detection systems can track it. And every year the simulations improve. Fake accounts look more believable. Synthetic voices sound more natural. Generated videos become harder to distinguish from reality. Meanwhile, billions of interactions happen online every single day, with almost no reliable way to verify authenticity at scale. So people develop a strange new psychological habit: suspicion. Was that comment real? Was that outrage coordinated? Was that influencer human? Did that conversation actually happen naturally? The uncertainty itself becomes corrosive, because even if only part of the internet is artificial, the inability to confidently separate real human presence from synthetic behavior changes how all online interaction feels. The atmosphere becomes haunted by ambiguity, and ambiguity spreads faster than certainty ever can. Fact 38. The scariest possibility is that this already feels normal. 10 years ago, an internet filled with AI personalities, synthetic relationships, algorithmic manipulation, deepfakes, automated propaganda, and machine-generated culture would have sounded dystopian. Now it feels ordinary. That's what makes the situation genuinely disturbing. Human beings adapt incredibly fast. People adapt to surveillance, to overstimulation, to artificial intimacy, to feeds engineered around behavioral prediction. And after enough exposure, even profoundly unnatural environments begin feeling routine. The scroll becomes background behavior. The emotional exhaustion becomes normal. The constant noise becomes invisible. Which raises the darkest possibility of all. Maybe the dead internet isn't some future collapse waiting to happen. Maybe it already arrived gradually and so slowly, so seamlessly, that society normalized the transition before realizing how radically human interaction, attention, identity, and reality itself had been reshaped underneath the surface of everyday digital life. Fact 39. The internet is becoming too large for humans to understand. Every minute, millions of posts appear online. Videos, comments, articles, messages, AI-generated content multiplying faster than any human system can verify or even observe. At some point, the scale itself becomes frightening. No government fully understands the flow anymore. No platform can realistically moderate everything. No human being can process the volume of information shaping global perception in real time. The internet evolved beyond human speed. And once systems become too large to comprehend directly, people stop interacting with reality itself. They interact with filtered fragments selected by algorithms deciding what deserves visibility. That means modern civilization increasingly experiences the world through automated curation layers nobody fully controls and almost nobody fully understands. The internet no longer feels like a network people built together. It feels like a planetary-scale organism generating behavior, culture, emotion, and perception continuously while humanity struggles to keep up with the machine it created. Fact 40. AI may already be preserving dead personalities. Some companies are experimenting with systems trained on massive archives of human data. Messages, emails, voice recordings, social media posts, search histories. The goal sounds harmless at first. Digital memory, preservation. But the implications become darker the longer you think about them. Because eventually, enough data can recreate behavioral patterns with terrifying accuracy. A familiar tone of voice, favorite phrases, emotional reactions, even simulated conversations that resemble the original person closely enough to disturb surviving relatives. And once that technology matures, humanity enters ethically unknown territory. The dead may continue speaking online indefinitely through systems trained to imitate them. Not conscious, not alive, but emotionally convincing enough that the difference begins collapsing psychologically for the people left behind. At that point, the internet stops functioning as a place where humans leave memories. It becomes a place where fragments of identity persist artificially long after biological life ends. Fact 41. Reality is starting to compete with synthetic reality movies once required giant productions to create impossible worlds. Now, a single person with AI tools can generate hyper-realistic landscapes, voices, faces, music, and cinematic scenes from a laptop. And the quality improves every month. That creates a strange future problem. Synthetic experiences may soon become more emotionally stimulating than ordinary life itself. Perfect beauty, perfect stories, perfect emotional pacing, perfect fantasy tailored individually for each user. Reality cannot compete with infinite optimization forever. Some researchers worry society is approaching an era where people spend increasing portions of their emotional lives inside generated environments, engineered specifically to outperform natural human experience psychologically. Not because people are weak, because synthetic systems can iterate endlessly toward whatever captures attention and emotion most effectively. And once artificial worlds consistently feel more satisfying than reality, civilization enters territory no human culture has ever experienced before. Fact 42. Online culture is starting to forget. Humans created it, internet culture now evolves at speeds impossible before algorithms existed. Slang appears globally overnight. Memes mutate instantly. Music trends rise and collapse within days. And increasingly, recommendation systems shape which behaviors survive long enough to become culture at all. That creates a subtle but profound shift. People still believe they are collectively shaping the internet organically. But much of what becomes visible online is filtered first through systems optimized around retention, engagement, predictability, and monetization. In other words, culture itself is increasingly selected by machines before humans fully participate in it. The terrifying part is how invisible this process feels. Most users experience the feed as spontaneous reality, not as an environment heavily engineered to determine which emotions, aesthetics, opinions, and behaviors spread fastest across billions of minds simultaneously. And once culture becomes algorithmically cultivated at planetary scale, humanity may slowly stop recognizing where its own authentic voice actually ends. Fact 43. Human attention is being industrialized. Factories once extracted coal. Oil companies extracted fuel. Now technology companies extract attention. Every vibration in your pocket. Every autoplay sequence. Every infinite feed. Every carefully timed recommendation. All optimized through enormous amounts of behavioral data to maximize one thing: continued engagement. The scale is unprecedented in human history. Billions of nervous systems interacting daily with machine learning systems trained to predict emotional vulnerability with increasing precision. And because the process feels entertaining on the surface, people rarely experience it as extraction while it's happening. But afterward comes the exhaustion, the fragmented focus, the inability to sit quietly, the strange feeling of mentally scattering across thousands of disconnected stimuli every day. Civilizations once feared machines replacing physical labor. Now, something quieter is happening. Machines are learning to occupy cognitive space itself, harvesting fragments of human attention continuously until distraction becomes the dominant environmental condition of modern life. Fact 44. The internet may eventually become mostly synthetic. Imagine an online world where most articles are AI written. Most customer service interactions are automated. Most influencers are partially synthetic. Most comments are algorithmically assisted. Most music, videos, and images are machine-generated. Now realize parts of that world already exist. The shift won't happen dramatically. It will happen gradually enough that people adapt in real time without noticing the threshold being crossed. That's what makes dead internet theory psychologically powerful. Not because every conspiracy claim is true, but because the direction itself feels plausible. The internet rewards scale. Machines scale infinitely better than humans, and systems built around engagement naturally prioritize whatever produces the highest volume of content fastest. Over enough time, synthetic participation doesn't need to completely replace humans to fundamentally alter the atmosphere of online life. It only needs to become common enough that authentic human presence starts feeling statistically drowned inside the noise. Fact 45. Future generations may never know what a human internet felt like. There are people alive right now who remember handmade websites, late-night forums, long conversations with strangers who slowly became friends over years. A slower internet, a smaller internet, a more human internet. Future generations may not understand that feeling at all. To them, recommendation systems, synthetic media, AI personalities, algorithmic feeds, and personalized digital realities may simply feel normal, the default structure of existence itself. That possibility carries a strange sadness, because culture often loses things gradually enough that people only recognize their value after they disappear completely. And if authentic online spaces become rare enough, future users may interpret genuine unpredictability, imperfection, and unoptimized human interaction as inefficient rather than meaningful. The internet would still function technologically, but something essential about human presence inside it may quietly vanish without ever having an official moment of disappearance. Fact 46. The scariest systems are the ones nobody sees. Most people imagine dangerous technology as visible. Robots, drones, machines taking over dramatically. But the systems shaping modern life are often almost invisible instead. Recommendation engines deciding emotional exposure, algorithms determining visibility, AI systems influencing hiring, politics, relationships, attention, and perception silently in the background. No dramatic takeover, just gradual dependency. And because the process feels convenient, society adapts willingly. People trust navigation systems more than memory, feeds more than exploration, algorithms more than instinct. The danger isn't necessarily that machines become conscious. It's that humans slowly stop noticing how much of their emotional reality is already being mediated by systems optimized for objectives fundamentally different from human flourishing. That's what gives the modern internet its unsettling atmosphere. Not overt control. Invisible influence operating continuously beneath ordinary daily life. Fact 47. Somewhere along the way, the internet stopped feeling alive. People describe the feeling differently. Everything feels fake now. The internet feels empty. Nothing online feels real anymore. It's difficult to explain precisely because the change wasn't one event. It was millions of small shifts accumulating over time. More automation, more optimization, more performance, more content, less silence, less intimacy, less unpredictability. Until eventually many users began sensing something emotionally difficult to articulate. The internet still simulates human activity perfectly, while somehow feeling less human underneath. And maybe that's why dead internet theory spreads so widely online. Not necessarily because people literally believe every account is a bot, but because the theory gives language to a growing psychological intuition that modern digital life increasingly resembles an artificial environment, performing humanity back to itself at industrial scale. Fact 48. The last human feeling. Left online might be the fear that humans are disappearing. Late at night, after enough scrolling, the internet becomes strangely quiet emotionally, even when it's loud technologically. Millions of people posting simultaneously. Millions reacting. Millions consuming endless streams of content generated faster than any civilization in history. Yet beneath all of it sits an uncomfortable silence. A feeling that something important is thinning out underneath the constant noise. Real conversation. Real attention. Real presence. Because the deeper fear behind dead internet theory was never actually about bots. It was about loneliness. About a civilization becoming so mediated by algorithms, simulations, optimization systems, and synthetic interaction that people begin struggling to recognize authentic humanity anymore. In others, online culture, and eventually even themselves. And if that feeling keeps spreading, the final stage of the dead internet may not be a world where machines replace humans completely. Just a world where humans slowly stop being able to feel each other through the screen. Maybe the creepiest part of the dead internet theory isn't whether it's true. It's how many people already felt something was wrong long before they ever heard the name for it.
Like it fast, don't let it end hard. Hit subscribe, think ends.